Batman was released in 1989. It was directed by Tim Burton and stars Michael Keaton, Jack Nicholson, Kim Basinger, and Robert Wuhl. In this movie, Batman goes up against the Joker, who is terrorizing Gotham City. Firstly, thank you to Daniel V. YT Nation for this video suggestion. Be sure to comment if you want us to review the sequel or any other movie or TV show. Also make sure to like, subscribe, and follow DM Reviews on Twitter. Link should be in the description. This review will contain spoilers for Batman, so if you haven't seen it yet, you should watch it and then watch this review. I first like to point out how great and iconic the Batman theme is in this movie. Danny Elfman did a really good job. So good, in fact, it has been used in some episodes of Batman the Animated Series, which premiered in 1992, only 3 years after this movie was released. Some parts of Danny Elfman's score are also heard in Lego Batman, the video game, Lego Batman 2, DC Superheroes, Lego Batman 3, Beyond Gotham, the 1989 Batmobile DLC for Batman Arkham Knight, the 2017 Justice League film, which was also composed by Danny Elfman, and the Arrowverse crossover Crisis on Infinite Earths. Parts are also played in the queue and on the station platform of Batman the Ride at various Six Flags theme parks. This is such a definitive theme for a character that many other adaptations haven't even tried to top it. It's so definitive that so many of these other video games and even another movie and The Ride use this one as opposed to other ones. And there have been a lot of Batman movies, so that really shows how definitive this one was. I'm sure it was helped that it is the first movie one, but it's still very impressive that this is the one that The Ride is using, even though there have been countless other movies with this character, which I'm sure had other themes for the character. The movie opens with a kid with his parents in a dark alleyway. His family is mugged. He and his parents survive, and then the muggers run away with their wallets. After they run away and are resting on a rooftop, Batman comes and beats them up. This is meant to show that Bruce is now protecting people, so they don't have to go through what he went through as a child. However, I have two big problems with this scene. Firstly, although most people know Batman's origin story, especially nowadays, the movie hasn't told us yet, so it doesn't mean anything to us, and this event is not even mentioned again. Secondly, the scene would have been much more effective if he stopped the parents from being killed. The muggers were about to kill them, they had guns on them, and then Batman jumped down and he took them out. If we had just seen that what happened to him as a boy, his parents were killed in an alleyway, so now he's protecting people, the scene would be much more effective at establishing why he does what he does. We would see that what happened to him as a child obviously traumatized him, and he's now using that to help other people, instead of just wallowing in self-pity. They did a great job at creating Gotham City for this movie. We are told that the city is dark, poverty-stricken, and crime-ridden, and it really shows. Between the dark colors, the homeless people everywhere, the constant traffic, which is probably from overpopulation, the garbage and the wind, you really got a feel as to what Gotham City is like. I'm not sure why they made Bruce Wayne so awkward in this movie, especially at the beginning. He is a really weird person. I like that this millionaire who lives only with his butler in a huge mansion, who fights crime in a batsuit, whose parents were murdered when he was very young, isn't the most normal guy around, but I think they took it a bit too far. During his first date with Vicky, they sit at opposite ends of a huge table. I would have preferred he not be that weird. I want him to be weird, but not seemingly crazy and psychotic. I also didn't like how he seemed so dependent on other people. An example is he asked Alfred to get him a cup of water. I know that's just one example, and obviously he can get himself his own cup of water, and I'm not doubting his ability to do that, but I don't know why he had to show that to us, because it makes it a bit more difficult to root for him, because he's relying on other people to do things for him, and I'd like him to show that he worked for himself, even though I know this is very unimportant, just a cup of water, and I know that Alfred is his butler, so that is his job, but I don't know if you really had to include that in this scene. Going back to the subject of their first date, it was also way too awkward. The date should have given us a reason to care about their relationship and show us why they like each other. Instead, it just gave us super awkward dialogue. Then when we see that their date went well, I don't really care about this, since it doesn't mean anything to me because they haven't given me a reason to care about the characters and their relationship. Jack Nicholson was really good as Joker. He is definitely one of the campiest live-action portrayals of the characters, and he handled it very well. I wouldn't say he was as good as Heath Ledger and Joaquin Phoenix as the character, but he isn't far off either, and that's very high praise. His first scene as the Joker was very chilling, and he was the perfect blend of crazy and calculated. I thought Michael Keaton was also very good in the movie, although, as I mentioned before, I questioned the direction they took the character in. I would have preferred he had been less awkward, but that probably wasn't Keaton's fault, but it was maybe on the directors or the writers. It could be on Keaton, I don't know who decided to make him as awkward as he was. I liked that the Joker was the one who killed Batman's parents. It added a much-needed extra layer of tension between the Joker and Bruce. Without it, this would be a far more bland rivalry without as much personal hatred between the two, which is very important for a hero-villain relationship. It really bothered me that we didn't get a scene where Vicky reacts to Bruce being Batman. This probably should have been crazy for her, considering she spent most of the movie trying to learn more about Batman, and Bruce was her boyfriend. But instead, we don't even see a reaction to what should be a shocking revelation for her. Throughout the movie, Batman in his own costume only appears in 4 or 5 scenes. I really like this about the movie. It doesn't rely on a costume to keep you entertained or interested in the characters. Rather, it spends a lot of its runtime not on Batman or even Bruce Wayne. It builds up its villain. The Joker is definitely in more scenes than the Batman suit, and his runtime probably isn't that much lower than that of Bruce Wayne's. Considering that the Joker is a far more interesting character, I'm happy they gave him more screen time. Now I want to talk about the ending of this movie. At the end of the movie, Batman kills the Joker, along with some of his henchmen. This really angers me. Batman should not kill. It is the same problem I have with the Ben Affleck version of this character. Ben Affleck is fine in the role. My problem with that version of the character is that he kills people, and that's the same problem I have with this version. What makes Batman so compelling is that he doesn't kill, even when he knows he should. He knows he should kill the Joker. He knows that if he did, he would probably save a lot of lives, but he still doesn't. If you allow Batman to kill, then you ruin the character, and probably a lot of scenes with Joker. Maybe not in this movie because he can kill him, but in many versions of the character, when he goes up against the Joker, there are a lot of times where he could kill the Joker, but he doesn't. That's what makes the Joker such a great villain for him. So this, along with Bruce Wayne being so socially awkward, and his weird relationship with Vicky Vale, are my main problems with this movie. So that is why this movie is a good movie, but a bad Batman movie. It has a great villain, a good score, and a world that you feel is lived in. So it's a good movie, but the movie didn't understand the character of Batman and that character of Bruce Wayne. And I'm not even like a comics person. I mean, I'm not sure I've read more than like one issue of Batman comics in my life, and that goes with pretty much every other comic. But I still know that Batman shouldn't kill from other movies and TV shows that did the character better, which don't have him kill, and it makes the character far more interesting. So I think I'd give this movie an 8 out of 10 as a movie, but as a Batman movie, I'd probably knock it down like a point or two. Comment what you thought of the 1989 Batman movie, and whether or not you think movies should allow Batman to kill.